Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And like I said in that video yesterday, what Uphold did with yield, it's setting off a network effect. Everybody is now trying to capitalize on this. This comes from BitTrue. Attention, all XRP supporters. Start, earn, and multiply your XRP now. With XRP, BitTrue gives you access to 80 plus XRP pairs for deeper liquidity access, staking, Power Piggy, and Launchpool. Listing of XRP Ledger ecosystem tokens. But it doesn't end there. Doppler Finance and BitGet. Doppler Finance has officially partnered with BitGet, the world's largest universal exchange. Together, we're unlocking secure, transparent, and verifiable XRP yield opportunities for millions of users worldwide. And this is just the beginning. Wait until we get that institutional adoption. Wait until the institutions come into this space. They're going to open up so many options for us to earn off of our crypto. And a lot of them are going to be risk-free. There's always a risk when earning yield, staking your crypto. But it's going to be risk-free options in the future. But you know what's great about this? You never have to sell your crypto at all. You could get monthly income from your crypto without selling. And this way, you can watch the price of the crypto that you're holding rise more and more over time. But everybody wants to capitalize on that XRP yield right now. Fact, we've never seen Ripple compare itself to any other crypto whenever it announces a new XRP partnership or acquisition. But look at other coins. Every time they land a new partnership, they immediately bring up XRP for comparison. That's a clear sign XRP is the standard. I thought that was a great post. Look at what's going on with Solana right now. Every so often, you always see the next token pop up, and everybody cites that it's the XRP killer. It's because XRP is the cryptocurrency they're most afraid of. Everybody fears this cryptocurrency because they know what it's capable of. Market analysts flags trend of top crypto projects directly benchmarking their payments capabilities in comparison to XRP. And you see it right here. You know, when it comes to payments, Ripple has the greatest alternative to Swift. And soon as XRP starts flowing on all of those Ripple rails all around the world, I'm telling you, anybody that's ignoring this cryptocurrency, fighting on this cryptocurrency, you will never hear from those people ever again. They are going to be filled with so much regret in not buying XRP when they had the chance to do it. I mean, you look at everybody that talks about XRP. I'm talking about the IMF and the BIS and so on. They were telling you a long time ago that XRP is the future. Same thing with XLM. You know, XLM is going to move a hell of a lot of money in the very near future. And when the new financial system finally goes live, I'm telling you, you will no longer hear about Bitcoin, ETH, or Solana. Everything will be all about utility going forward. If you truly want to make real money in blockchain, start looking at derivatives. Take a listen to this.
If you're interested in blockchain and you want to make money, forget about sending money back to your uncle in France. This is where you should be thinking. This is the size of the entire economy of the world right here. GDP. This is the notional principle of all derivatives. Okay? These are all forwards, futures, and options. And these are all derivatives except interest rate swaps. This right here, interest rate swaps. biggest universe that most of you have never heard of. Millions of lawyers, millions of traders, millions of accounts, all that can be put on the blockchain, okay? And all this clearing system and settlement system, which we took, Dodd-Frank is like this thick, this much of it has to do with clearing and settling of swaps. Okay, it's a nightmare, it's a mess, and we can take this whole system and simplify it with distributed ledgers.
And that is what Ripple was targeting from day one. Smoke goes on to say this: there are 100 quadrillion drops of XRP as Ripple targets the quadrillion-dollar derivatives market. XRP was designed with the scale of global derivatives in mind from the very beginning, because that's the market Ripple really was going after. It wasn't so much banks and cross-border payments. They wanted to capture that derivatives market, and they only need to capture a fraction of that, and all of a sudden we are looking at $1,000 XRP, and everything is coming together for that to happen. I mean, even back in 2023, Ripple joined ISDA, claimed share of $1.2 trillion quadrillion-dollar derivatives market. It was all put in motion a long time ago, but people are worried about Western Union and Solana. Brad, we see there's no global consensus on crypto. It's still early, but the next 16 years will be far better than the last 16, as real applications finally emerge beyond speculation. Take a listen.
Tom, if I may, I think you're demonstrating that we don't have a global consensus about crypto. Even in this conversation, and I agree that it still is early, partly because there is not a global consensus about some of these things. I agree. And I think some of the use cases, we're still extremely early in terms of scaled use cases. Circle is certainly one example that has started to have a scaled use case around a stablecoin. But I think the crypto industry, I agree, the next 16 years, I think it'll be better than the last 16 years, because you'll finally see applications emerging that up until now have just been the store of value story or speculation.
What Brad's saying is we're shifting away from store of value. We're shifting away from speculation. Everything now is about real utility, real world use case. The world shifting from the traditional system into the digital system. But for all of that to happen, the very first thing you need is regulations. I wonder if Amazon has any rights to the Xrp Escrow. This comes from Digital Asset Investor. And you see, when an Amazon partnership is announced, the world will be talking about XRP. Millions of people will buy XRP on that day, so this partnership is being saved for a later date. David Schwartz says, Ripple could sell the right to receive the tokens released from escrow, or even sell the accounts the escrow completes into, but the XRP still can't circulate until their release dates. So people could buy that escrow ahead of time. They could receive that escrow ahead of time. But that XRP cannot circulate until the dates of release on the 1st of every month. So I wonder how much of that escrow is going to end up in the hands of, say, the central banks, possibly Amazon, possibly other companies. We really don't know yet. And how much of that escrow is already spoken for? I see a lot of people saying the IMF is going to get the biggest portion of the escrow, most likely 10 billion XRP. But nobody really knows that for sure. People are still speculating on all that escrow. Same way that people keep saying the NDAs are all going to be announced at once by the end of this year. You don't know when those NDAs expire. Nobody has a clue when they expire. I think we're going to get announcements over time as those NDAs do expire, but don't expect a flood of NDA news to hit the crypto space all at once. That wouldn't even make sense for that to happen. Journalist, all evidence points to XRP and the XRP ledger being used after the laws are effective. And that's what I've been saying this entire time. Nothing is really going to happen until laws are in place first. Everything that Ripple's doing right now is leading up to regulations, most likely happening, hopefully, before the midterms. I hope they get those regulations in place by the end of this year. We're waiting on a lot of bills coming from Washington. But with this government shutdown, of course, everything is going to be delayed out longer. And that's the one thing about XRP I just don't get. We must be holding the most incredible cryptocurrency ever created, because every time we are waiting for something to happen around this cryptocurrency, it's delay after delay. First, it was the Ripple versus SEC case. We see how long that was delayed. Remember when everybody thought the case was going to end on this day and it was going to end on that day, all throughout 2022, 2023, and 2024. Now it's the ETFs getting approved. Everybody thought those would have been approved already. But of course, because we're XRP investors, those ETFs got delayed as well. What else are we waiting on? Clarity, so that we could get that institutional adoption for the XRP ledger. But the government is shut down. So clarity also gets delayed as well. But all these things benefit this cryptocurrency the most. Clarity is going to benefit utility. It's going to separate speculation from real world use case. The ETFs, most likely, they're going to outperform Bitcoin. So they have to get delayed, give Bitcoin more time to run. I still don't think the top is in for Bitcoin. But you see how it's always around what we're holding. That is not happening by chance. That's happening on purpose, in my opinion. This comes from the National Cryptocurrency Association. Our VP of Communications on-chain, Ali, joins Confidentially Crypto to discuss how blockchain technology is creating new opportunities for millions of everyday Americans. In this clip, Ali highlights how crypto removes the middleman, creating more direct access for everyone. Take a listen.
At its core, crypto is a digital asset, a way to move and hold and store value. And it gives you more control by cutting out the middleman. And so it saves you time, it saves you money, and ultimately it is more secure because of what we call the blockchain, which, as you know, is basically like a public giant notebook that everyone can see, like we talked about. And so when you put it in these analogies of things we already understand that are already part of our lives, it starts to make a lot more sense.
You know, when we talk about delays with XRP, what's the one thing that XRP does? What's the one thing Ripple is set out to do? Cut out all the middlemen. And the middlemen are the ones that are most likely creating a lot of these delays. The banks. Think about it. Ripple they were having a lot of momentum back in like 2019, 2020. Right before the Ripple versus SEC case. There was a lot of momentum there for Ripple and XRP. Then the case came. It slowed Ripple down. And Ripple went outside the United States and just expanded very quick all around the rest of the world. And the middlemen, the reason that they want to delay Ripple and XRP is because they're still lining their pockets in the current system. Right now, it's all about very slow transactions, but very expensive transactions as well. Crypto is going to put a lot of people out of business because what crypto does is it cuts out the middleman. But you know who benefits? The everyday working person. Because a lot of the fees that they're paying today will be gone in the future. It's good for everyone, and that's what's great about crypto. That's what's great about Ripple and XRP, XLM, XDC, and so on. These are the cryptocurrencies that are going to make all of this possible. Utility-driven cryptocurrencies. And until it happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.